Saxony, a state in the east of Germany, is rich in history and culture and has over 20 castles and palaces, 4 of which are very special. One of these 4 castles is Königstein, perched high on a rocky crag near the Czech border. It was built 1,000 years ago by King Wenceslas I, who is the good King Wenceslas of the Christmas Carol. Even though it isn't the feast of Stephen now, nor is there deep, crisp and even snow round about, perhaps it was from here the good King Wenceslas looked out and saw yonder peasant's dwelling hard against the forest fence in the valley below. For hundreds of years Königstein Castle was used as a prison. It was even used for Allied prisoners of war in World War II. But General Giraud of the French army was one such prisoner who escaped. Throughout its history, the castle has never been captured, though the first gate and wall do not look as though they would hold off a determined attack for long. However, a succession of other barriers, gates, drawbridges, narrow passageways, and always a steep upward slope were too much for even the most energetic invader. If the attackers came up the hill another way, there were still high walls and armaments to repel them. The slope which hindered attackers in wartime must have been a permanent headache in peace when it came to getting in supplies. Pulleys and ropes were used to raise heavy loads of material. It is only in modern times that cranes and lifts can deal with such problems easily. With the castle being so high above river level, a good supply of water must have always been a problem, solved many years ago by a well of enormous depth that still works today. Literal horsepower was used before the invention of electric motors. The castle today is used as a museum of its own military history, with weapons and uniforms on show. Even its garrison commanders are remembered. Tourists come to see its sights and to enjoy some relaxation. I'm sure that good King Wenceslas would be pleased that his castle has survived all these years. Moritzburg, the second castle we visit, though called a castle in some brochures, is really a palace, a Schloss, to use the German word. From a distance away, it is extraordinarily beautiful. It was built in the mid-16th century by Duke Moritz as a hunting lodge, but after 200 years was remodelled as a palace by Augustus the Strong, hence the crest bearing his initials. Inside the palace, the ground floor now is very Spartan, with just a few deer antlers on the walls. But upstairs, the rooms are very richly decorated. Augustus was trying to build a rival to France's Palace of Versailles. Then there is the huge display of deer antlers in the main dining hall. not so attractive to most people in these eco-friendly days. In the grounds outside, deer and wild boars are bred, so I suppose hunting is still carried on. From time to time during the year, carnivals are held, recalling the castle's earlier days of pomp. It is time now to leave Moritzburg and move on. The third castle is Albrechtsburg, which dominates the small town of Meissen on the river Elbe. Seen close up, the outer walls are massive, and the gatehouse is surprisingly attractive. Inside, both ground floor and first floor are very spacious and beautifully tiled. Massive columns support the floors above with beautiful arches, tracery, and decoration. There are statues of historic noblemen. And on the walls many pictures depicting events in the history of the castle. Most amusing is one where the king had grown a beard, but his womenfolk disliked it and cut it off with scissors. The views from the castle, especially of the river Elbe, are very attractive. The fourth and last castle in this series is Colditz, the castle which served as a prisoner of war camp for those prisoners who had escaped from other camps. The Germans thought it was so well built that no one could possibly escape from it. Beside the physical challenges, there were armed guards and barbed wire to cope with. The castle had a single approach road over a dry moat, and then the solid gate, closely guarded of course. Inside there were two main courtyards, the closer one for the German garrison, the inner courtyard for the prisoners. This is how the German garrison courtyard looks like now, and also how the prisoners' courtyard looks now. But during the war it looked quite different, of course. Much more dirty, for one thing. The castle now is a museum of its wartime role as a prisoner of war camp, and has displays of tools and disguises manufactured by the prisoners in their attempts to escape. There were nearly 200 serious attempts to escape. About half of these, especially those making tunnels, were discovered before they got out of the castle. About 60, though, did get out of the castle, but were recaptured before they could leave Germany. But 31 got right away, back to their homeland. Home runs, these were called. Among these was Harry Neve and a Belgian companion who walked out, disguised as German officers. One who got out but was recaptured was a Frenchman dressed as a woman. Another man tried to get out, hidden in a bag of rubbish, but he was discovered too. This is a map showing the routes taken by some of those who got home. One plan was for two people to escape in a glider launched from the castle roof. This would land in a field beyond Colditz town. Building such a plane was possible because the Germans had bricked up all entrances to the attics, so never inspected them, but the prisoners had made a secret way in. The glider was built but never used, as American forces liberated the castle first. Experts agree that the plane could have flown. Another glider, based on the drawings, did actually fly. Also among the photos on display in the castle are those of camp concerts put on by the prisoners, to which even the Germans came as audience. Well, it is time to leave Colditz now. These castles of Saxony are a wonderful cultural asset, well worth a visit.